a remarkable journey of 17 plus years. Later, she pursued her corporate PGDBA in Information Technology from Symbiosis University. She has completed her BTech in Radio Physics and Electronics from University of Calcutta. We
Before
welcome you, ma'am.
Before we start with this guest lecture, I would request all the participants to follow the general instructions. Please keep your cameras on mute. On your mic should be on mute. You may use the chat box for any questions. Now we would like to welcome our guests to proceed further with the guest lecture. Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Madhuri, and thank you so much, Shruti, for those warm words. And thanks everyone who are here. I can see almost 94 participants today here in this webinar. Thank you for inviting me to your presentation as a guest lecture. Welcome all the Dotians out here. I wish you very successful journey ahead, learning as well as your career journey ahead. Okay. So I'm here today to talk about the influence of technology and specifically in the digital ecosystem, right? So I will share my screen. I have put together a couple of slides. While I will just take the slides to be, just placeholders, I will try to bring up some of the examples to give you, a brief on what digital ecosystem is all about, how it's influencing us, and what the future holds for digital ecosystem. Okay, let me know once you are able to view my screen. Yeah, I actually don't have the Zoom app on my laptop, and that's the reason why there might be some delay since I'm joining from the browser. So let me know as soon as you can see it.
Yes, ma'am, it's visible.
You can see that, right? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So that's the brief agenda. We have about 45 minutes roughly, maybe a bit more than that. So what I will do is, I will take about 40 minutes to go through the slides and take up any questions that you guys might have, right? So while I'm presenting, I might not be able to monitor the chat window for any questions that are coming up. So I would request maybe Madhuri or Shruti, if there are any compelling questions in between, you can also feel free to stop me and ask me those questions, right? So
Sure,
let's go ahead. So what is it? Okay, so these are the things that we will look at briefly today. What digital ecosystem is all about and how digital ecosystem is actually influencing the different sectors and the different industries, right? And then look at some of the top companies which are actually in the digital economy business, digital ecosystem business, right? And then we will briefly talk about the technologies which actually drive this entire ecosystem. And then finally, I will take up any questions. Sorry. Did we already have a question there?
No, ma'am.
Looks
No,
like
ma'am.
someone needs to go on mute. Yeah. If I can just request everyone to go mute, please. Okay. So what is digital ecosystem? Right now, before we get to the digital ecosystem part of it, let's first understand what is a business ecosystem. Okay, now when we talk about a business ecosystem, we are talking about networks, right? We are talking about networks in an organization, which might include different suppliers, which might include the distributors, it might include obviously your customers who should be at the forefront of driving the business, and then there could be other players like the regulators and others, right? Now, they form the ecosystem in any business. Okay, so if I take the example of say a banking or an insurance ecosystem, I would often take these examples because as you might have heard during the introduction, I come from a banking and an insurance sector primarily. Throughout my IT journey, that's been my specialization, right? Now if you look at a say a insurance system, insurance ecosystem, right? So who are the typical actors in that ecosystem? So you would have the customer, would have the insurance carrier, you would have the brokers, you would have the agents, you would have maybe the claims educators, right? And many others. There would be multiple other partners. So all of them form your business ecosystem. So now when we are talking about a digital ecosystem is nothing but bringing all of these business ecosystem together in the network to be connected online through a platform, whereas whereby they can interact digitally and then they can create value for everyone. Okay, so that's what the digital ecosystem is all about. You can quickly go through the definition that Gartner puts across as part of their research. What a digital ecosystem is defined as. Okay, and if you look at one of the studies done by McKinsey, so they have already noted that they by 2025, by the year 2025, majority of the business in the world will actually be represented through the digital ecosystem, and that would almost be around 60 trillion of the global revenue of the world, which is huge, right? Which you can understand. So you can pretty well understand uh, whatever stage we are in the digital ecosystem era, you are going to see leaps and bounds of improvements and transformation in the next few years. We have already seen that in the last couple of years while we have been going through this pandemic, right? So if you ask around and if you see around from your experiences also, you would completely, I'm sure all of us would agree that it's kind of this pandemic has all thrust us into the digital world. Even if we didn't, if even many of us who didn't want to be there, we have been thrust into it. So it has kind of accelerated the pace of the digital transformation, the overall movement. Okay, so this research which predicts by 2025 we are going to get to the 60 trillion revenue of the global market just from the digital economy ecosystem standpoint, you will get to see in the next 3-4 years how true that is, right? Now if we look at the different sectors, I will just bring in some examples from each of the sectors. Okay, so again, let's talk about banking system, the financial sector. So that's something I think very easy to comprehend, because that's something most of you would also be using, right? So when I talk about the financial sector and specifically the digital ecosystem in the financial sector, if you think about how everything has been brought together through a banking application, right? In any modern banking application, if you see, it has the entire integrated service wherein at one place, you will not just get the online banking services, you will get your digital passbook, you will get your expense management system, you would get your credit management system. So integrating all the services together in one place, that's very common example and something that has been already in place for quite a long time now, right? Nothing trending about it right now, although there are different other areas where the banking sector is actually making very big steps. Banking sector is taking, right? Now similarly in the insurance sector also, you would see most of the insurance carriers are moving out from the manual based or manual connect based agency and brokers who used to connect to the customers personally. All of them are moving out from that kind of a networking system into more of a digital platform where everyone is brought together in one platform, right? The customer, the brokers, the agents, everyone is interacting through one platform. Okay, So those are some of the examples in the financial sector. Now, if you get to the healthcare, healthcare is one area where you would really see a lot of transformations happening. Because if you look at the healthcare industry, even in the past 1 year, you would have noticed major differences in the healthcare system, right? Which is why throughout the globe we have still been able to survive this huge pandemic, right? Now, healthcare system, how does digital economy or digital ecosystem helps in the healthcare industry? So if you think about the entire touch point in a patient's journey, right? Starting from scheduling of an appointment with a doctor or at an hospital or at a diagnostic center, starting from there to getting that appointment, going through the diagnostic test, storing the test results, seeing the doctor, recording of the prescriptions, recording of the test results, everything can be stored through that digital ecosystem, right? It is true that in our country it hasn't progressed to that level yet, but probably we are not too far from getting there, because in many of the Western world it has already been there, where you can store all of these information, and you can store all of this information in a very secured manner, because when you are storing all of these data together in the digital ecosystem, it's extremely important that you abide by the data security risks that are there, right? So that you can avoid those data leakages, correct? So that's an important point where healthcare is actually taking a lot of advantage from the digital ecosystem world. Now, another point here on the digital, when I'm talking about the healthcare world. So you guys might be aware, since you are management students, you guys might be aware that there are many kinds of compliances also which are required in the healthcare industry, right? Like the HIPAA compliances, then there are health information exchange related audits and compliances, right? So all of these informations and the compliance authorities, the government sectors who need to be part of these compliance activities, can also be part of that digital ecosystem which the healthcare provider is having. Okay, so whatever they are using, it's about bringing all the participants together in one platform. You don't need separate platforms to get all of these different stakeholders or to cater to their different needs, right? So while you can also have the patient, the doctors, the nurses, the pathology department and all of that, you can also have the compliance and the audit departments or the government departments as part of your compliance and audit checks. Okay, so that's the example from the healthcare world, right? Now, if you look into the third example, which is the auto industry. Auto industry, as you guys would be knowing, right? So auto industry is kind of going through a huge transformation for quite a few years now, and they are very fast adopting the digital ecosystem, and in ways where earlier the way the automobile manufacturers used to operate, they used to get the different parts of the automobile from maybe some few select suppliers, right? There would be few select manufacturers or suppliers who would provide these, who would provide this automation or automation parts to the automobile industry. Now what is happening is, it is not just those physical manufacturing parts that are being supplied. There are multiple other partners who are partnering with the car manufacturers, right? Because we are right now getting into the autonomous car. We are getting into the electric car, where you need people to be connected in a digital platform. You need your car to be having that digital installation, a smart installation, right? Where it can directly get connected to your digital platform that you provide, right? So that your services, the services that the car manufacturer will be providing, will be through that platform itself within the vehicle. Okay, let me give you some examples here so that it is easier to comprehend. So if you go through some of the case studies like Fiat or Volkswagen, right? So they have, and Volkswagens particularly, they have an ecosystem platform which we call as WEV. So this platform, what they provide through this platform, they provide different kind of applications, and that is like a smart screen that is available inbuilt in your vehicle, and it is connected to the digital platform. Okay, and so what you can do is say this will provide you different kind of applications like vPark. It will provide you an application called a vDeliver. It will provide you application for vExperience. And what are the purpose or services provided by all of these applications? It's like vPark will tell you, say you are moving around going somewhere, it will immediately tell you what are the parking options in and around the place that you are in. Okay, so if you need to park your car somewhere, it will immediately point you out that these are the parking options that you can avail for parking, right? Now, vExperience can tell you about, say, give you personalized information about, say, if you're looking for a eatery, you are looking for a restaurant, you are looking for an hotel, it will automatically connect you. It will tell you the details. And you could have done it through your mobile, obviously, but while driving, you don't need to look at your mobile. If the car, smart screen is already prompting you these information, right? And again, interestingly, there is an application called vDeliver, which will actually, parcel some delivery to your vehicle. It can, if you avail some services from there, it can parcel some delivery to your vehicle itself. And how are all of these possible? Because the car manufacturer has actually partnered with multiple providers, right? Multiple suppliers or providers to give this unified experience of services, all of these bringing together in an ecosystem. Okay, so that's one of the examples from the automobile industry. Similarly, there are other car manufacturers. I just took one example. Others are also coming up with similar kind of platforms. Okay, so now these are just the three sectors and three examples that I've taken up just to give you some view on what the digital ecosystem is all about. But this is just a sneak peek. Okay, now if you look at the complexity of the stakeholders or the complexity of the networks in a digital ecosystem, there are far more complex ecosystem than these three examples that I have given you. Okay, now if we look at the top few digital ecosystem providers, can anyone tell me who do you expect to be in the top lists? Anyone wants to mention? Just unmute yourself and tell me, who do you expect to be the top digital ecosystem providers? Madhuri, Shruti, the students can unmute themselves and talk, right? Or do they need to
Yes,
chat
ma'am.
only?
Yes, ma'am.
Could
Yes,
you please
ma'am. What
repeat
is
again, ma'am?
Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
Ma'am, could you please repeat again about the ecosystem?
Yeah. What I was asking is, now I have given you some of the examples of the digital ecosystem, the banking providers, automobile manufacturers, or healthcare providers, right? If we have to look into the top few providers of the digital ecosystem, who do you think would be in the top names?
Ma'am, Amazon Web Services.
Amazon, okay. You
Google.
mentioned Amazon Web Services, okay. Amazon Web Services is very, very specific. That's AWS. Amazon, if you had said Amazon, that would have been the broad spectrum and that would have been the right answer, because AWS is
IBM.
just one part of it. IBM, Google.
Microsoft.
Okay.
Finacle.
Sorry.
Finacle.
Pinnacle. Okay.
Microsoft.
Okay. Let's see. Let's Microsoft. Okay. Let's go to the next slide. So let's see what do we have there. So you missed out the biggest one, Apple. Yeah.
No, I said
So
Apple.
if we someone said Apple, sorry, then I missed that. Okay. So
Yeah,
if you
Like
see this is, yeah, it looks like there is some, some lag. Uh, I'm just pausing here. If someone was trying to say something, please go ahead.
I think, ma'am, you can proceed.
No?
Yeah.
Okay. So if you see here, this is actually from a McKinsey report from about a year back. Okay. Now, this is the list of the companies based on the market capitalization, global market capitalization, right? Now, if you see, and that doesn't mean that, it is just the digital ecosystem companies that we are looking at. So the report was actually on the market capitalization of different companies globally. But what you see here, out of the top 7 companies in that list, which has the highest market capitalization, you see 6 companies are actually in the ecosystem business. Okay, are ecosystem companies, except the one which is in the second, which is grayed out, Saudi Aramco, which is actually an oil and petroleum company based out of Saudi Arabia. That's the only one which is not in the ecosystem based business, right? Rest everyone else, if you see the names out there, be it Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, Alphabet, Facebook, Alibaba, all of these are actually digital ecosystem providers, right? And someone said AWS, and that's the reason why I called out, that's only part of it, right? So Amazon's business, definitely technology infrastructure, all of them are in the front line because of technology infrastructure that they provide, the computing centers that they provide, right? That's where AWS comes in the picture. And it is not just for themselves, they use AWS for themselves, like say, be it for hosting the Amazon Prime or for any of their other activities, right? They also rent it out for other companies, correct? So strong technology infrastructure, robust computing centers, and of course, agility and innovation. That is what makes them stand out, right? So these are actually the companies who are creating the digital ecosystem. And when people are into this digital ecosystem, the business, when you are creating the digital ecosystem, you will have to also keep in mind, it is not about just building the digital business, right? But it is also about building a connected digital society, right? And why do I say that? Because in the past 1.5 years, this has really been revealing for all of us, right? We never thought that all of us around the globe, we will have to get into this kind of a situation where we will not be able to venture out, meet face to face for anything, right? Everything we will have to do digitally. Just think about all those underprivileged students who wouldn't have been able to continue with their studies if it was not for the online classrooms that are being provided for the past 1 year, right? There are many underprivileged students also who come from poor background, but they have somehow they are able to manage just a smartphone through which they are staying connected, right? And so that's the reason why I say that it is not just about building a digital business, but as you expand that digital business, you make a very efficient digital society as well. And that is where it's extremely beneficial, it's extremely important for all of us to understand where we are heading towards and what are the benefits and advantage that it brings to all of us, right? Okay, let's move on and see, what are the technologies that we are talking about exactly, which are uh, helping in the acceleration of this digital ecosystem. Okay, so what we are talking about here, one of the primary things, of course, is the infrastructure. So the advent of this cloud, right? Cloud and computing, this has given us the means to store huge amount of data, right? And from that data is where you gain the insights. So infrastructure, data, and on the data you have different kind of algorithm and analytics that you can run to give you the final applications or the insights, the business intelligence part of it. Okay. And what are the things that are driving it? So this is again a diagram from one of the reports of UN, but it clearly depicts all the different technologies which are driving this digital ecosystem. Okay, be it starting from the mobile phone applications, right? It's like even 20 years back we couldn't think about it. The first time when the mobile phone actually came into India, I still remember that everyone laughed at when the target was set about 1 million connections in a few years' time, right? Uh, People were like, who is going to pay for 15 rupees for, to make a call and 10 rupees to receive a call? That was the initial charges, correct? But within 1 year, that 1 million count was achieved. No one thought about it. So that's the power of the technology. As it's, as it expands, the cost also comes down. Okay. So mobile phone has been really that breakthrough innovation or breakthrough or technology for all of us uh, at different strata of the economy and the society. Then we have augmented and virtual reality, which you guys would probably be aware of, different applications of it, satellites, drones, and sensors. This area, the drones, sensors, and satellites, this is actually driving the entire um, Internet of Things, right? The connected devices. It is possible because of the RFID tagging, because of the sensors. The size of the sensors are so small that you can place a small sensor in even a minutest of application, a minutest of device, right? Starting for be it from a toothbrush to anything else, right? So which was not possible earlier. So sensors, drones, satellites, definitely these are driving it. Then you have the cloud and the edge computing, which has made it possible to not just store that data, but compute that data. Because unless you are able to compute and analyze the data, you will not be able to bring out meaningful insights from it, right? Which will actually drive your business strategy. Understand how what the customer wants, how the customer is going to move around, as in the trends, correct? So that will give you the trends. The artificial intelligence, machine learnings, Internet of Things, all of these are part of your digital ecosystem, the build up of the digital ecosystem. Okay. Now let me take a pause here. Let me see, if you guys have any questions here.
Attendees, do you
Any
have any
questions?
questions? You can please post it either in the chat box or you can just directly come on the stage and ask your questions.
Okay, I don't want this to be a monologue. Okay, so that's the reason why I've kept my slides very crisp. I would rather want to answer your questions and make this interactive.
Uh,
Sure, ma'am.
Ma'am, we
I
have two people raising their hands. One is Ayush. So
Yeah,
Ayush, you
sure.
can just ask a question.
Yeah, ma'am, you were talking about IoT and how RFID and other things are connecting drone and everything to our laptop, right? So I would like to ask, like, do you think IoT has the possibility of connecting the whole world in that sense? Like, can a computer or like anything in USA can be controlled from India? And how? What will be the benefit of connecting through IoT? Did you get my
See,
question, ma'am?
IoT is a yes, you are asking what would be the benefit of connecting through IoT, right? Now, IoT is something which is huge, has huge potential. Okay, let me give you some examples from, say, the agricultural sector, right? Now,
Okay.
agricultural sector, I don't know if you guys have heard about the concept of smart farming, right? What it takes into account, there are multiple things in a smart farming concept, right? And it is not just in Western countries, even in India. If you look into areas like Chandigarh and Delhi, Haryana, and all these areas, there are farmers who are taking help of technology to do the farming, right? And how do technology help them? So be it starting from some Agribots, they use different kind of bots. Okay, what do the bots do? The bots help in identifying certain things either in the soil or in the weather conditions. Okay, so that will help to do certain things in an informed manner, right? So that will give them the information, right? If a particular soil has certain kind of minerals available, or even if there are certain weeds that are there in that soil, that agribots can also weed out those through uses of robotic arms. Okay, so they can use the robotic arms to spray automatically the pesticides in the worms in the farms, correct? So these are all possible because of the sensors and the connected devices. You don't need to what in essentially the IoT stands for is that manual intervention is to be minimized, correct? So what a farmer can be doing this, he doesn't need to even go to the farmland. He can be setting up all of these things, and from his house he can just switch on something and all of these will get done, right?
Okay, ma'am.
So all
Got
of
it.
these are possible. So
Okay.
then there are drones. So there are ground-based drones, there are aerial-based drones, which helps to understand or survey the fields, right? And predict, what kind of farming is possible, how would be the crop quantity for a particular year. Okay, and if you can take this a step further, this entire agricultural farmland, the agricultural farmlands or the farmers take a lot of they need that finance, right? They need the financing or the sponsorship. They usually take loans from the banks as well, correct? Now if the banks help in incorporating these devices for the farmers, the banks will also get to know you know what is it that the farmer is targeting for, what will be the output, what will be the yield of the crop for a particular year, and accordingly they can suggest, accordingly they can give the loan. This is about connecting not just one sector, not the stakeholders from one sector, but when we are talking about digital ecosystem, it's actually cutting across multiple sectors. Yeah, and that's where you will see a lot of revolution happening in the next few years, where multiple sectors will be coming together for the larger benefits of of society, of human.
Okay,
Yeah,
ma'am.
did I
Thank you.
answer your question?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
So this
Thank you
is
so much.
just one example. Okay, if you read through, you will see IoT has large applications in the energy area. So there is concepts of smart city, where the entire city can be connected, or the power consumption can be actually, built up in an efficient way, where based on your need, the power can be generated and utilized. Smart cities are being built all throughout the world, right? Okay, let's take the next question.
Yes, ma'am. In the chat box, it's Dr. Manak. Where does Google stands in digital ecosystem?
Google is, continuously expanding their services. Okay, so if you think about Google Pay, Google Pay is part of the digital ecosystem, right? It's part of the digital ecosystem, and it's kind of a provider where different other sectors, it can be used anywhere, right? Any online portal, you can use the Google Pay system for payment, correct? Similarly, if you see, they might be extending this, and they are actually partnering with the banks. So they have moved, they are a technology based company, but they are moving away from that to the banking sectors. They are also venturing into the insurance sector, the likes of Google and Amazon, right? They are partnering with the insurance carrier and also providing insurance, right? So these are the examples that I was giving you in that earlier slide, where we saw the top 6 companies. All the 6 companies are actually technology companies, right? But they have been actually forming the ecosystem in such a way that they are cutting across multiple sectors. See, let's look at Amazon. Amazon initially was in the retail business, the online shopping retail business. They have gradually ventured into the groceries, right? They have ventured, they are in a place where they are on the technology side of it, anyhow, they are renting out AWS, right? They are on the media side of business as well through Alexa and the bots and chatbots and others, right? So they are into the Amazon Prime. So they are, if you look at their services and the business, it's a huge spectrum, correct? So all of these, they are the technology companies, they are coming together to be part of the ecosystem, and they are bringing the other partners into their ecosystem, so that the other partners, they're partnering with different vendors and different third party providers. The customers are always there. The customers can also be providers. So because in the concept, in the context of Amazon, if you see, someone who is buying a product can also be a seller, right? Any other thoughts on
Yes,
this? Anyone else wants to add to it, or any other questions?
ma'am, we have one question from Ayushman. You can unmute yourself and just ask the question.
As you have mentioned about the RFID technology, so can we say that nowadays, like in our car, we have to keep that number plate, government quoted number plate. So, is there any RFID technology in that particular plate, which is there right now in each and every car?
So it is not about just the cars, okay? The
Okay.
RFID tags are there in, in different appliances, right? And the RFID tags are there for multiple purpose. So it helps you to connect. And the reason why this Internet of Things is called just things as of now, because we are just talking about devices. But pretty much soon, it will not just be things, it would be Internet of everything, because these sensors or these tags will not just be into devices, it will also be into humans, right? already, if you are aware that Elon Musk and a few others are already doing some research on this area, how things can be, how it can be, particularly in the context of healthcare, how it can help us, right?
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
So yeah, and RFID usage in cars is just one small part of it for tracking and all, right? So there is telematics used in car to understand the behavioral pattern of the driver. That is again different part of it, which is used in the insurance sector as well, to understand the behavioral pattern, because so that based on your behavioral pattern, if you are a very safe driver, you take a lot of precaution, then you can be given an additional discount when you take the next time you take the insurance, right? So that's done through telematics. So all of these things are there, and the technology sides of things are improving.
Sure.
Ma'am, next we have Dotun
Okay.
Udit. You can unmute yourself and ask the question, Udit.
Yes,
Yeah,
ma'am.
Udit, go ahead,
So,
please.
ma'am, as you mentioned that Apple is the like leading in terms of digital ecosystem, right? So I wanted to ask, like, what is the cost of IoT, like everything being connected together, in terms of privacy, and in terms of like, what will be the, can there be some negative impacts of IoT in the future? Because if the, like, for example, the basic function of IoT is to make everything seamless, right? To make everything efficient. But the problem with efficiency is that if one thing breaks in the middle, then the whole thing is down. So, like, I'd like to know your point on views on this.
Yeah, so definitely, technology has its upside and downside. It has always been there, right? But with this the usage increasing exponentially, we are all exposed to different kind of risks, obviously. Okay, and the risk that is most prominent now is the data security related risk, right? So when we are connected through so many devices, right? Our location, our all personal data, everywhere, all of these data are available. So unless there are strict laws, there are compliances, there are audit checks around this usage of data, there would be some people always trying to misuse the data, correct? So most of the governments, you would see globally, different kind of governments, they are bringing in strict data security laws. There are already data security laws in place in Western world, right? Particularly in Europe, if you see, they have very strict data security laws, right? And similarly in US and few other countries. Even in our country, uh, data security laws are there, and those are being enhanced. Okay, now one part is the law, whereby you restrict it. The other part is the awareness, as in, all of us, we are connected. We need to be aware that what is the information that we need to share with whom, right? We go about sharing our phone numbers, our addresses, our names, everything, all the details everywhere. We go about giving that. That's a potential identity threat that you are creating by giving out all your personal identifiers, right? Your date of birth, most importantly, right? So this awareness, many of us still don't have. So this awareness need to be created. uh, we need to have very strict laws to protect the data security. And plus, from the technology side also, there are multiple cyber security areas which are being looked into. And again, because of the usage in the past 1 year or 1.5 years, you would have seen that there have been so many, even the corporates, big corporates, who have gone through cyber security threats. not just threats, they have been attacked with some or the other kind of, some malpractices, correct? So those are potential areas, and in fact, those are potential career options that people should look at, because cybersecurity is going to be very, very important in the next few years as we grow. While, if I look at from the career options point, right? Uh, since there is huge data, obviously data analytics, anything to do with, understanding the data, that's where, your all your AI ML knowledge will come into place, and understanding the network, so that it is not just, it should not be, the security should not be a event driven security. That means that, an event has happened, and post that you try and stop or cut off your devices from the network, right? That's the approach we mostly have nowadays, right? Rather than that, what we should look at is, how do you identify the potential threats and stop it before the event occurs, correct? That's an area which is still undergoing a lot of research globally, and that will definitely be improving. Even in the past 1.5 years or so, that networking and the entire cyber security, the data security, has already been focused on. Most of the CIOs of the company, CTOs of the company are taking that to be their primary point, because that's been a primary point of concern for the business. So obviously awareness needs to be there, plus from the technology standpoint also, stopping the occurrence of those data security or data leakages need to be there.
Sure, ma'am. Understood.
Yeah. Okay.
Ma'am, yeah, ma'am. Ma'am, we have one more question in the chat box from Nitin. What is the future of AI and how it is going to affect the IT industry?
Future of AI and how it's going to affect the IT industry. Okay. So it is not, the usage of AI will not be just in the IT industry, right? So the usage of AI will be in multiple industries, like I was mentioning earlier, be it the healthcare, be it banking or financial, and IT is the one who is going to, enable it. So the IT engineers are going to enable that usage throughout multiple industries, right? Be it in, like I said, in the healthcare industry. So if we look at healthcare, right? Healthcare is a space where we have a lot of improvements that can be done. We have wearables, right? Wearables we are using, which is kind of continuously monitoring your health parameters. Okay, see, if there is a critical patient, through the different kind of wearables, you can continuously monitor his or her parameters, and also trigger an alert if the health parameters are, off the limits, bouncing off the limits, right? So similarly, there are researches which are going on, say particularly for a diabetic patient whose sugar levels keep on, moving up and down. They have a very high risk. If it goes below a particular level, it can be fatal. Correct. So the researches that are going on, in fact, some of the technology companies like Apple and others are involved in these researches, where they would be using some, sensor based devices, where they would be continuously monitoring the sugar level. Okay, and not just monitoring it, accordingly the insulin levels will be adjusted for the patient. See, if the patient is using an insulin, that insulin thing can be, he can already be wearing it on him, it can be on his body, and that can be adjusted accordingly. Okay, this is just one example. I digressed a little bit from the question, but suddenly this just came up, talking about AI in your, in healthcare. So healthcare is one area where we will actually see a lot of improvements. See, there are so many patients who are wheelchair bound, right? Now you always need to have some care provider, someone who would look after that person, to be near him or her, a person who is wheelchair bound. Now if that wheelchair is connected as in connected to different systems, connected through internet, then it will actually, it can, based on certain senses, it can actually give the triggers to either the family members or to a doctor if there is an immediate need on something. Say, suppose that person tries to move around and slips or falls, right? Then it will immediately send that trigger. So these are all the examples from a connected device standpoint, right? Now I was actually answering your question, the AI part of it. So what we need to understand is there are certain things, this entire, from the technology standpoint, if you see, um, AI is all about making the machines work smarter, right? And the algorithm that you use is machine learning to understand that data, to utilize that data, right? Now, and with the on the connectivity side, if we look at, we are also moving from 4G to 5G, right? So when we get into 5G, the speed would be like thundering speed, correct? The speed improvement would be huge. So with the just at the snap of a thing, so many things can happen with the speed that 5G would come at. Okay. So all of these technologies that we were talking about, be it the AI, be it the ML, be it deep learning, right? Because all of these will ultimately lead to analyzing the data, and how fast can you analyze the data, and not just analyze the data, but also apply the outcome. So you analyze the data, you have some action points from it, you apply one of the action point from that. So all of these can happen just at the push of a button, or just at a wink of an eye, correct? Because of all the speed that 5G is going to provide us, the wireless connectivity that 5G is going to provide us. It will also, largely improve the augmented reality, the virtual reality, the entire media, the high definition, ultra high definition video reception, and everything. It will hugely improve all of that. This discussion, this conference that we are having, there's still a slight bit of lag, right? All of these will be thing of past when we all of us start using 5G. It will be like we are talking face to face.
Thank you so much, ma'am,
Yeah.
for your Thank you so much, ma'am, for your insightful session. I, Dodian Shruti, and my
Madhuri.
co-anchor, yeah,
Yes, ma'am.
on behalf of the whole Dot Club, extend our gratitude to the esteemed guest, Ms. Sunanda Pal, ma'am, for gracing us with their presence today. Your experiences and knowledge have given us some major insights into the emerging digital ecosystem with the amalgamation of human and technology. We would like to extend our gratitude towards our esteemed faculty of IBS Hyderabad and our coverage partner, Teams Newswire, and also to our promotional partner, IBS Messenger. We would especially like to thank to our seniors for guiding us and encouraging us at every step of this event. And a huge thanks to all our enthusiastic attendees and the entire team for making this event a successful one. Thank you and have a good day.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much. It's been my pleasure to be part of this, discussion today. It was very good to interact with all of you, and good that there were some very insightful questions that came up, and it was a good discussion. Happy to be here. Thank you so much. Wish you guys all the best.
Thank
Stay
you, ma'am.
safe.
It's our order, Pat. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, ma'am. Have a good day.
Bye, ma'am.